For Creamer Media TV in Johannesburg, I'm David Oliveira. Joining me today is Barloworld's outgoing CEO, Clive Thomson, to discuss his tenure at the helm of the South African industrial conglomerate. Hi there, Clive.
Hi there, David.
Clive, you spent the last 20 years at Barloworld, 10 of those as CEO. Tell us a little bit about some of the challenges and milestones that you achieved during your tenure.
Yes, thank you, David. It's certainly been, I've had a wonderful 20 years at Barloworld, and as you said, 10 years as CEO. And I think in coming into the role, I was very conscious of the fact that it was a company which had been around since 1902, and some of the giants of South African industry had preceded me as CEO of the company. So it was quite intimidating, I think, up front. And also we announced at our AGM in 2007, shortly after coming on board, a major restructuring of the group, which involved unbundling PPC Cement and unbundling and separately listing our Plascon Paints division as Free World Coatings. And we also announced the sale of our scientific products business, which operated out of Carlsbad in California and Stone in the United Kingdom. And so there was a significant restructuring of the group, which took place in 2007. And I guess that was a big challenge, because once you've announced it to the market, you're under pressure to execute. And I think by the end of 2007, I felt pretty good about the fact that it had been pretty much executed as planned. But then, of course, 2008 came, and we hit the 2008 financial crisis, and that precipitated steep declines in revenue across all of our businesses. In fact, for Caterpillar as a global organization, it was the biggest single percentage drop in their revenues any time since the Great Depression in the 30s. So we had to focus on cash flow and working capital and maintaining debt levels. But I think the group came through strongly, and thereafter we were well positioned to make some interesting acquisitions. We bought out 100% of our shareholding in our Russian Caterpillar equipment business, and we also invested just under 2 billion rand in the Bucyrus distribution rights here in Southern Africa and Russia, which I think stood us in good stead in the next commodity cycle downturn, as we had a broader portfolio equipment offering for the mining industry. So I think those were some of the highlights, and I think as I sort of end my tenure now in February, I think I'm very pleased with the composition of the group. I think the balance sheet is strong and healthy, and I think therefore well placed for future organic and acquisitive growth. And I've also got a great incoming CEO and an executive team.
You officially stepped down as CEO in February this year, and you're being replaced by Dominic Sewela. What words of advice do you have him, and where would you like to see him focus the group going forward?
Dominic's an experienced executive. He worked for us many years ago and then spent some time out of the group doing entrepreneurial enterprises, and then rejoined again in 2008 as CEO of our cat business in South Africa, and then was promoted to CEO of the Equipment Southern Africa business. So Dominic is an experienced executive in a key and core part of our business, and I've worked very closely with him over the past 7 or 8 years, and so I think he's got a very good feel for the company culture and value system and competencies, and therefore in a sense hits the ground running. You know, if I had to give him any advice, I would say remember and take what's good forward from the very rich and proud history of the group. But I think also going forward, be adaptable and flexible in the strategy, because an organization has to evolve and adapt over time to remain relevant and remain successful. I'd also say to him, keep the focus up on people, leadership, management teams, and the people that work in the business, because although it's a bit cliched, it is true that the only sustainable form of competitive advantage you have as an organization is your people. And also, although we sell leading global brands of products, I think it's true to say that our competitive edge comes through those people. So I'd say don't lose the focus on that. And then finally, I would say make the right decisions for the long term. Very often as the CEO, you're under short-term pressures from the market to deliver quarterly or half-yearly results, and those are important. But you also need to balance that with making the right decisions for the long term. So be bold in your vision, be bold in your strategic objectives, and be bold in taking the right decisions that are going to position the group for success in the next 10 years and beyond.
Thank you, Clive.
Thank you, David.
That was Barloworld's outgoing CEO, Clive Thomson. From Creamer Media TV in Johannesburg, I'm David Oliveira.